Hello everyone, welcome back again to Angela's Craft Room. Today I've got this lovely card for you using the Healing Hugs stamp set, which are these flowers and leaves. And then I've also used the Puzzle Pieces Thinlits to create my puzzle here. And I've just, the 4 pieces in the middle, I've popped them up on mini dimensionals just to get them to pop off the card a little bit more. Otherwise I feel the card just looks a bit flat, but you could just keep it flat, it looks perfectly fine. And then just some of the beautiful very vanilla polka dot tulle down there at the bottom. So I'm going to get started straight away, and I'm going to attempt to bring my big shot into picture, which is always a challenge. So to start with this one today, I am using one of the new colours as my base, Merry Merlot, and that is 11 inches long by 4 1/8 of an inch wide, and then I've scored it at 5.5. And I'll just grab my grid paper and then give it a really good score, because you're going to put a few layers on this. So to save some time, I've already put a piece inside my card. So that is a piece of mint macaron, and it measures 5 1/4 by 3 7/8 of an inch. And I've just stamped the flower before I glued it in. I just stamped it in each corner with the Merry Merlot new colour stamp set. I really think the mint macaron and the Merry Merlot go really well together, and I'm finding it a real challenge with all these new colours because I'm having to work out what corresponds with what looks good with what, so to speak. So then I'll set that aside. That's the first step. And then we need, what do we need? We need 2 pieces of cardstock. Now they are measured 5 1/4 by 3 7/8, and I put those together like that, and I'm going to run them through the big shot with my framelits or thinlits. So I'm going to run them through with this, and you'll see why I need to. This is going to be a challenge. Okay, so I'm going to pop down my magnetic plate, my magnetic platform, and then just one clear plate, and then I'm going to stand up for this. Then you've got both these together, right? And so we just pop them down together and make sure they are really flush and together, because you want them to be exactly the same. And then I'm going to place this lovely big thinlit, and I like to leave a good border at the top and as close as possible to each side as I can. Okay, and then I take my other clear plate and just run it through the big shot. Okay, so I'll just pop that out away for a minute. Then taking that off, and that will come off quite easy. And so you've got one window there, and you've got this window. Now this second one, because I only put it through the big shot once, it won't have cut, or it won't cut the jigsaw pieces, but that's what I want, and I'll explain why. It's just taken a piece of the card at the back, but that's fine because No one's going to see that. Okay, so I'll just get that out the way. So that second piece is going to be my guide, because I can see the pieces and I can see where I want them. So the thing is, just remember, don't go moving it around, because otherwise you're not going to get your stamped image where you want it to be. So that's how it come out of the big shot. So I'm going to carefully put that down because I'm going to need that. And then these pieces here will just all pop out like jigsaw. And I just want, oh, that's all right. But what I was going to say was, they go into a bag because I don't need to use them, but I needed the 2 frames, like these frames. I needed these 2 because they get glued together. Now, out of all these, I just pop them in a bag. As you can see, I've got all different colour jigsaw pieces happening because I've made a few different colour combos. Okay. So another good way, if you're going to do that, you could, until you're confident knowing what colours, especially with all the new colours, you could actually put a sticky piece of paper on there and just write down the colours on there just to remind you what they are. Now, what I do is out of that one that I've just put in the bag, I keep these 4 centre pieces. Now you will need them later on and you'll see why. Okay, so we've got that and we've got that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to stamp this part here. Okay, and then we're going to run that through the big shot as well. So with that, make sure I get the right size. We've got a piece of, I thought I read, yeah, 3.5 by 3.5 inches. Okay, so we just take, we only really need 1, and I'm just going to grab my Stamparatus. Now, when I use my Stamparatus, when I'm stamping, what I like to do is put a stamp pad underneath this lid. The reason being is so when you're pressing down with your ink pad to ink up your image, you're not bending the plate down onto your table. You've got your stamp pad to lever off from there. Okay, so this is the stamp set that we're going to be stamping with, Healing Hugs, and I'm going to be using this flower and these leaves. Okay, so to start with, I'm just going to put this in the middle, and these magnets are just so strong. I'm just going to put that where I think I can work with it. So make sure it's straight. And the first flower I'm going to stamp is in Merry Merlot. So it's in our new stamping pads. That's what they're like if you haven't seen them before. And they just open up like a makeup compact. I really love them myself. Then just, now a trick with this style of stamp is that you can't have your ink pad too inky. And because mine were really inky, what I have done with the ones that I'm using this stamp is I've got a piece of photocopy paper and I just press the whole ink pad about 6 times to get a bit of the ink out of my ink pad, believe it or not, because you cannot have it too inky. That's where people are going wrong. They're using very juicy ink pads. So normally you would go stamp, 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 a lot of people, but with this particular stamp, what you have to do is just one really strong push down, and you'll get to see how much is on there. And I can see that I've got a bit of ink around there, so I just grab the trusty cotton bud, because I don't want that transferring. It most probably wouldn't have, but I don't want to take the risk of it transferring onto my card. So I'll just... The good thing about the Stamparatas, if you don't get a good impression, you can always stamp up and do it again. So we're just going to bring that down, give it a good press, and isn't that just gorgeous, that colour? It's just beautiful. I absolutely love it. So then I'm going to get my chamois and just wipe that clean. Like that. And then another thing that I use is, if I can see it on my desk, it's most probably sitting right in front of me. I might have put it away. For those that don't normally watch my YouTubes, I actually use this stuff, which is called Eclipse masking tape. So what you do is you just stamp your image on there. Instead of using sticky notes, you stamp your image on there and cut it out. So that's what I've done here with the flowers. I have used this mask once before. So So you'll notice that down here I've left a little bit of the Merry Merlot ink exposed, and I did that on purpose, because if you cover it completely you're going to get a gap in between the two flowers, and I don't want a gap. So then when I pop this one down, because I'm going to be stamping this one in mint macaron, I just have it as far as I can have it. I want this whole front flower onto the cardstock, and then this piece up here is going to overlap on top of the on top of my mask. Okay, so just press that down, and I'll just close my Merry Merlot so I don't get ink all over me. And then I've got my mint macaron, which I'm going to, and a way of knowing that whether it's too inky or not also is when you stamp that up, if you get a heap of bubbles on your stamp, it is far too inky for this style of stamping. So I'm just going to bring that down and hope for the best. And that's just beautiful. I just love that colour, mint macaron. It's just beautiful. So I'm trying to use as many of the new colours in my videos, because then you get to see the colours and whether you like them or not. What I like you most probably won't like. And now I've lost my, there it is, lost my leaf. So now I need to grab my other mask that I had, and you can see now I'm going to do the leaves. I need just a little bit of that red around there, and the same with the macaron. I just want to show a little bit, because once again, if you cover that completely, you're going to have a gap and it's not going to look like a seamless stamping technique. So then I just position my leaves there, like that. Just pop that one away, and then I'm going to use Pear Pizzazz for my leaves. So when I'm stamping the leaves, I'm just doing a really light stamp. You can always redo it if you have to. So I'm not going to redo it. So with this particular stamp, you'll notice that one stamp is quite prominent in the flower, and then this is like the shaded, like the highlights. It's all done for you, and this is the lighter stamp. So then we just need to do the other side. So I'll just wipe off that. Now when you do this one, you need to make sure some of your colours are showing on this edge, so that the leaves, once again, so the leaves will look like they're underneath the flower. Like that. So we'll just pop that magnet on. Like that. And then just pop your leaves there. Pop that down, and then just, as I said, you just need one or two pressures. You don't like stamp, 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 stamp. It's just completely different when you're using this style of stamping, this style of stamps, I should say. So that's a really good, really happy with how that's stamped. So I'll just pop that leaf over there. Now we're going to, now with the masking for the next technique, and you can see once I've removed how lovely and seamless the leaves look like they're coming from underneath the flower, and the mint macaron flower looks like it's underneath the Merry Merlot. I had to check that it was the right colour. The Merry Merlot flower. Okay, so for this next final step on this piece of paper is we need to cover as much with our masking as we can, because this I'm going to stamp my background. If you know, you don't have to. If you're happy to have all the white space, it's perfectly fine. And don't worry if a little bit of your flower shows. And then I've got little masks for my leaves. So they're going to go over there. And then these ones are going to go over there like that. Now to keep, because I'm going to be putting this big background stamp, the marbled one, which you can see here, over it, it's quite large, So I'm not going to be able to put my magnets down. So what I do is I use the Eclipse masking tape. You could use like double-sided tape or something that's easily removed afterwards. And I just put it on the back like that. And then it will stick to my Stamparatus. I just want to get it even. So that's going to stay there. It's not going to move. Then I'm going to pop this over there like so. And then just, that's going to come up like that. Now, the trick in doing the background stamping over that, we're going to do it a different way again. So I'm using another new colour, the soft sea foam, and it's best to use like a really light colour when you're doing the background. So that's why I've chosen this. But I found once, if I stamped it like, if I stamped the image like this, it was too bright. So what I do is I just slide. I just slide it, my ink, over the stamp like this. It's most probably not that good for your stamp pads, but I mean, how often are you going to do it unless you're going to make a heap of them? You're just going to use a fair bit of ink. So then I'm just going to, sometimes I have to do this several times to get every spot, because when you've got masking tape down, that's like another height level. And so you're trying to stamp that. I mean, that's quite, that worked out quite well, but there's a little bit down here which I would restamp, because it might be just catching on that masking tape and not transferring the ink on there. Just stop. That's better. So you can just see, and that's the good thing with the Stamparatus, you can just go back in. Just on this side. And that's pretty well done. So that's a bit of another technique for you, which I'm sure you can use it with so many of your stamps that you have at home. So I'm just going to, and all I have to do is peel that off, and that will go straight in my bin. And I'll just clean that Stamparatus so it doesn't. Okay, so we're finished with that. Just put that to the side. So now we're going to remove our masks and see what it looks like with our background on there as well. But I'd encourage you to get this stamp set because it's just awesome. And this is just pure stamping and masking. That's all it is. And so you can just see that background, and that's what you need. Just a little background. I mean, not sure how well you can see that. I think you can see that pretty well though. But you can see how seamlessly the leaves look like they're coming from underneath the flowers, and how the mint macaron flower is just going under that other one seamlessly. So there's a few techniques there that you can try with your other ones. Now what we're going to do is put that through the Big Shot. Oh, sorry, do apologise. So we're going to have that, and once again we're going to have the magnetic plate, one clear plate, and then we're going to have our square on there. And then I'm just going to grab my Thinlit, my Puzzle Pieces Thinlit. It is a lot easier with the magnetic platform. And then you're just going to run that through. And one bit of advice is just try and hold that together. Just move my big shot. And just place it down. And we want to try and keep it together. Try and keep it together, and there is a reason, because if you just pull that off and let the pieces fly, you're going to have to put the puzzle back together. So what you need to do then is you need to pop these out, but just try and keep them together. It saves a lot of grief once we start gluing. There we go. Oh, one piece is still there. So we know, see, that's what happens. We know that piece goes there anyway. It doesn't have to be exact. So just try and keep that together like that. And then all you would do is just push it to the side of your work. So I'm just going to slide the whole thing so it stays so I can see. Right, and then just bring in my piece of grid paper, and now the fun begins. So to start with, we want to... So I've got that piece that we just, it was just like an emboss because we put these two pieces through together, remember, so the second piece won't cut, but we need it because it's embossed so we can follow the design. So hopefully I haven't moved it. So then we need a little bit bigger piece because you can't, that's going to, this piece, sorry, is cut out of there, so it's going to fit exactly. So you need to place it on a piece that's a little bit bigger. Like that. So we'll just glue that on there first. And I like to use the Tombow liquid glue. Making sure I've got it the right way. So just be gentle with it because it can cut through a couple of the pieces. So then I'm just going to put this on this piece. So the mint macaron piece that we cut out of this piece is 3.5 inches by 3.5 inches approximately. And so I just make a white piece, cut out a white piece which is 3 3/4 inches by 3 3/4 inches. Okay, so I'll just that. And I've got glue everywhere. And then we just want to glue these two together. Now why I do two is because it gives it a bit more sturdiness on your card. Okay, so I just need to, so I'm going to glue this down like this. And then we just want to put a fine bit of glue and then along that top piece. Then when putting these two together, I just try and get the edges, the bottom edge, the two sides first flushed, and then I just, you can press them down, but to get them equal you just push down, have one finger in here and a thumb up here, and that way they're going to be flush. Okay, and then we're just going to pop it down and just run our fingers where the glue is up those sides and at the top. I'm just being careful because I've got a little bit of glue on my fingers and I do not want it to transfer. So that's your two pieces joined together, which is going to give your card a lot more sturdiness. And then we want to glue this piece onto here. So we don't want to see any white cardstock. So when you've got this back piece glued up, you need to bring this down first and make sure that bottom piece, if you make sure the bottom piece is covered, has covered the white, the rest should just come down seamlessly and match it up. So just you don't need that much glue down the sides, so we need to put the bottom piece down first. And then just turn that over. So that's going to, it most probably be better that you didn't glue this piece down here actually, but I've done it now, so. So what I'm going to do, because I've got a piece of ribbon, and it's a beautiful new wrinkled cut ribbon, it's absolutely gorgeous, and I'm just going to wrap that around the, start from the back, because I don't like, when I'm wrapping my ribbons round, I don't like to have, and I may have to put a piece of tear and tape actually across there. I'll just wipe a bit of this glue off. Okay. And I'll just fold that in half because it's got glue on it. So So what I should have done is popped a piece of tear and tape across there, because I don't put any adhesive under my ribbons on the front of my card. I always adhere them to the back of my card panel. So I just need to get that off. Like so. And just get my ribbon on the right side. Yeah. So I'm just going to put a little tab on there, and I just want to wrap that round until it grabs the tear and tape at the back, but I just want it to be as straight as possible at the front. Doesn't matter what's happening at the back of this part, because this is going to all be glued down. So we'll just make sure we've got that straight. And then I'm going to put a piece of tear and tape over the top of that ribbon, because I find the glues don't adhere to the ribbon, and I always like to put a piece of tear and tape on there. And then I'm going to bring in the base of my card. Just don't want to get any glue on it. And grab my Tombow again. So you can see there's many layers to this card, and I do apologise if the video is going too long for you, but I think it's important to show you each step. So obviously you don't put any Tombow on top of the tear and tape that we put on to adhere our ribbon down. Just make sure you've got your card up the right way. And then just eyeball it and just try and get it down. See if I can pull that up a little bit. So then I'm going to just get that glue off my fingers. And just press down so that puzzle piece adheres to the front. And don't worry if you get a little bit of glue on here, because now we need to glue our pieces into the puzzle. Okay, so what I tend to do first is those extra 4 pieces I had at the beginning that I told you, they need to be glued. Oops. They need to be glued down first. And you don't need very much glue, just as long as it's tacky and it's going to stay in place. And these 4 pieces in the front here, in the middle I should say, they are going to make our middle 4 pieces that we're going to put up on dimensionals, they're going to make them sit up even more. So it's just these 4 in the middle that I'm putting the green onto. And then we need to start gluing our pattern. And what I do is I glue all the edge around first. So you can see you don't need that much. Thought I had the wrong piece then, that would have been traumatic. So just a dot. Traumatic for me. So I'm just going to place that piece down there. So we've got our 4 pieces in the center. So now we're going to start by gluing our pieces, if I can pick them up. So we're going to do all round the edge first. Another way you can do it is you could use a photograph of someone and make a puzzle out of a photograph. Another thing that I've done is I've used DSP, and I've used that beautiful Petal Promenade DSP, and I've made a puzzle out of that one. I'm hoping to do a tutorial on that one as well. I will have a lot of it pre-cut, seeing that I've done this one pretty much from start to finish for you this time, so you'll know, you'll be able to look back on this if you forget some spots and how I've done it. And with the DSP one, I didn't put I didn't pop up the middle 4 pieces like I am in this one, but I really like it a lot more when I pop up those 4 middle pieces. I think it just adds a bit of more dimension to your card. Okay, so we'll just go down this side. And so you can see why it will help you if when I cut this through the big shot with the Thinlit, how I said to just slide it away from you, because otherwise, let's grab a bit of that glue and spread it, otherwise you know, if it all falls to pieces, you're going to be forever trying to find out which piece goes where. But if you stamp some and want to do them in card kits or something like that, if you want to do that later on, sort of if you want to make a card later on and you want to do it, you just feel like doing a bit of stamping and cutting out, because I've come quite addictive to this
technique now. So I do travel in our motorhome with my husband, and so what I can do is make up card packs in different colour schemes, and I can do them at night time in our motorhome while I'm on the road. So we've only got 3 more, and then two more. Just checking I had the right one then. It's a bit too much glue there because I don't want it oozing out. And then just the last piece. So it's quite easy to work out which the 4 in the middle are, because they're the only 4 pieces in the whole puzzle that don't have a straight piece. Because obviously they've got to have a straight piece if they are to fit on the edge. No, I'm not going to try and lift that. It's okay, so that's our border. So now all we need to do is get our mini dimensionals, and still be careful like where you've got those 4, because you want those 4 pieces so you know which ones go where. So what you need to do there is just pop some mini dimensionals I find just if I just put 4, and I wasn't a real fan of the mini dimensionals until I got this Thinlit. So then we're just going to pop that piece, and you'll see when you do it that it stands up really nicely off there. Then we've got this piece. So when I do the one to show you how I do the DSP, because DSP is a lot thinner than cardstock, there is a step that you do need to do to make your DSP stronger before cutting it through your big shot. So when I do that, I might just show you how I do it and then refer you back to this card, because this card is exactly the same, but we're just going to do it with DSP. piece goes in there. It doesn't upset me at all if you fast forward parts of my video. I normally do try and keep them to 20 minutes, but this one is just, I just felt that you needed to see it from start to finish. So just make sure you have them round the right way. So I've just got one more. It's either that way. So each one's going to look different, because if you just practice with working out some colour combos, especially now we've got all these beautiful new colours, and even though with the Healing Hug stamp set it is more of a sympathy card with the sentiments that are on there, or a get well card, I have made it as a birthday card. I've just used a different sentiment from one of my other sets, so don't feel that you have to. I always encourage people to use different images from their different sets. You don't have to use just from one set, because that's the set that I'm just showing you today. Okay, so I'm just going to finish off with actually I did have a bow there, but I'm just going to pop my finishing touches is I'm just going to pop some pearls. And these are Stampin' Up pearls. So just so I can get it even in my own eye. It's a bit hard sometimes working upside down. And then we're just going to pop a piece a row across there. And then I did have a little bow I made with in Whisper White. So what I do with those is just use a glue dot with my tweezers. Just grab a glue dot on the end of the tweezers, just stick it on the back of your bow. So like that, and then all you're left to do is add the sentiment. So I won't prolong the video any longer, but in my original one what I did was I just did a little sentiment in the corner of that last puzzle piece down there with love. So I might make this one into a birthday card. So I hope that helps you to see how to use
these new products that Stampin' Up are bringing out. I've tried to show you some of the new colours. This one here is Flirty Flamingo, and this one is the what's that one called? That's Mango Melody. Sorry, Mango Melody. And then we did Merry Merlot here with Mint Macaron. So that's the stamping combinations, which I find are the hardest to do when you're doing these flowers, to getting ones that look like each other, like blend in with each other, if you know what I mean. So I hope that helps you use the Healing Hugs a different way, and the Puzzle Pieces Thinlits as well. So until next time, thank you for watching and happy crafting.